Hey guys, it's Royce coming back to you with another video today. So before I go into the deck guide for today, which you can get a little bit of a sense of from the deck that's up on the screen, I do want to give a couple of shout outs. The first of them is to Runeterra CCG. So I'm going to go ahead and put them up on the screen here. There we go. So runeterraccg.com is a great website that I have known about, I think, for a month or two, but I have just started using recently, and it's excellent. I'm also a loyal user of Mobalytics, but I find that Runeterra CCG, at least lately, tends to have more updated meta information. So I've been going to them more often in the last few weeks for meta tier lists, for breakdowns, and some really great people work on this site. I believe that Fresh Lobster, who I've referenced in past videos, is actually a writer for the website. And for the first time the other day, I actually dug into Dr. LOR's meta report. And there's some great stuff here. So today, a little bit of a spoiler, I'm going to be playing a Feel the Rush control deck. And this meta report actually gives you stats on play rate, it gives you stats on win rates, it gives you like a tier breakdown. So here we can see that Feel the Rush is kind of just on the brink of being a tier 1 and a tier 2 deck. And you can even see here breakdowns based on rank. So currently I'm in Platinum, so I find the deck I'm interested in. This is sorted by win rate, I believe. So we can see that Feel the Rush in Platinum Plus has 1831 games on record, and it's a 53.9% win rate. I think this isn't the raw win rate. This has some statistical adjustment to it that I haven't looked into yet, but I'm going to trust them and go based on this number, so 53.9. And then in my particular tier, it's 54.7. Now we can see that in upper ranks it falls off a little bit. I have heard that Feel the Rush sometimes performs better in best of 3 tournaments than it does on ladder, but it seems like it's still a pretty strong ladder deck, especially at my current rank. So yeah, shout outs to them, and secondly, shout outs to Salty Simon. Salty Simon is the one that actually piloted this deck in the last Mastering Runeterra qualifier and got, I believe, first place, so congrats to Salty Simon. I'll go ahead and link his Twitter in the description because I wasn't able to find a YouTube channel. He may have a Twitch stream, but I wasn't. I didn't get to hunt that down. So now let's talk about the deck. So Feel the Rush has been around for a while. It came out in the KDA set of cards, but for anyone who isn't familiar, it's a 12 mana slow spell. Summon 2 different random champions from your hand and deck. Grow their stats up to 10/10s. And the 2 champions we're playing in this deck are Trundle and Trundle. Now Trundle has the benefit of regeneration, and if you're able to pre-level it before playing Feel the Rush, it gets Overwhelm. Trundle has Overwhelm as well, so it's not uncommon to see Feel the Rush into 10/10 Trundle, 10/10 Trundle, and to see Trundle actually buff himself up to like a 14/10 or something, because he's granted +1 attack for each 8+ cost card you behold, which means each one in hand or in play. So yeah, the deck is built around this power turn, this power turn, which can happen on round 9 normally. You can also speed that up by ramping to that condition with Catalyst of Aeons, or Eons. Catalyst of Eons? Something like that. So the whole deck then is built around taking advantage of this big power play here, and also making the power play actually close the game. That's why we're also playing Atrocity, and we're even playing 1 copy of Commander Ledros for an alternate win condition. So if you've seen one of my videos before, or at least a particular one, you might have seen me go with an Atrocity game plan. I was doing that with Maokai. But this is a much more consistent strategy. We have some great targets between the Trundle and the Commander Ledros and the Trundle and everything. Now let's talk a little bit more about the deck. This will be a pretty short section because these are standout control tools, which you can vary the ratios of a bit, but they're all trying to accomplish more or less the same thing. Avarice and Sentry is one of your only early drops, and it draws a card, very important. Vile Feast gives you a little bit of heal, and it gives you a unit, again, to contest the board. Flash Freeze is a great combat trick that is good in some very niche situations where you're responding to an opponent's ruination, but can also be strong against something like a buffed up Ahri that's going for lethal, or a Frozen Thrall. Excuse me. Kindly Tavern Keeper, 3 mana 3/3, heal for 3, just a good value card in Freljord. Avalanche and Blighted Ravine do the same thing, 2 damage AoE. Blighted Ravine also has the advantage of giving you a bit of heal, 2 net heal, once you take into account the 2 AoE, but it's also a delayed effect, so you want to be playing this in different situations than you would be playing Avalanche. The box is very good in this current meta. It's strong against Ahri Kennen. It also can sometimes be strong about Poros, which is actually our weakest matchup according to Runeterra CCG.com. We're weak against Poros, we're strong against Ahri Kennen and Aggro Spiders. Ahri Kennen being a tier 1 deck, and Aggro Spiders being either a tier 1 or tier 2 deck. I've already talked about Catalyst, it's ramp and heal. Trundle is a card that we want to be actually leveling pre-Feel the Rush, as I mentioned, so he can get overwhelmed and we can more consistently close out games. And then for the last 7 spots, we have Withering Wail and Vengeance, 2 fast speed removal options. This one is AoE this one is removal. And Ruination, we're playing 1 copy. It's just a, it's just a defiant, everything dies. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Everything on the board is just wiped out, unless there's something with Spell Shield, of course. Anyway, I'm repeating myself now. I don't have a lot of else to say about this deck. I will be learning it as I play, and then at the end I'm going to go ahead and do an outro and explain what I've learned and explain if I have any feedback about this particular list and would like to make any changes for my particular meta, which is currently in Plat 3. Alright guys, that's going to do it. Let's go ahead and get in some ranked games, and I'll see you in a second. The last few days, especially with Ashe Noxus, I've kind of been fighting for every point of LP. I think with Ashe I went 6 wins, 5 losses, so if I could do better with this deck, that would be amazing. Although a positive win rate is still good, don't get me wrong. Okay, as usual, I like to see Avaros and Sentry. This is Bandle City Shadow Isles. I'm going to keep the Vile Feast for Teemo, although they will be able to attack on 1 with it, that's fine. I like seeing Catalyst of Aeons, and I'll keep Avaros and Sentry. The box would also be nice to answer a turn 5 Poppy.
Another day in the field. They'll never know what hit 'em.
Okay, so I'm going to make the pretty obvious play here and turn to Avaros and Sentry. I could Vile Feast, but I'd rather try to get this draw. Okay, we've drawn both of our Tryndamirs, which is a little bit of a, well, that's a big downside. They take the slots of more important cards in the early game, and also Feel the Rush is just supposed to pull them from the deck. Now it'll pull 1 from the hand. Okay, so they're really trying to, well, what are they trying to do? That Sentry wasn't going to contest the Teemo. I'm not sure if I agree with the Vile Feast there.
You best believe I don't.
That's a nice Avalanche. We could be seeing a Purpleberry Shake here, but that would be fine. See if they have another Teemo. I wouldn't be mad at that either. Nice. What we're playing for here is this Catalyst on 5 into probably not a Feel the Rush condition at this point, probably into Tryndamere on 8, Ledros on 9, close out the game on 10. We're just going to play an Avaros and Sentry here and try to bank enough mana to play Catalyst of Aeons next turn, plus play a Vile Feast. If we see a Poppy come down, we might want to proactively use one of our spells before any weak units can get a buff.
Baddies beware,
Mama's got a gun.
Okay, and these 2 and 3 health units will be pretty durable if we do see a Poppy.
On it and on 'em.
Okay, I'm not afraid of that. They're not in Demacia, so we won't be seeing any rallies. Let's just Catalyst. And since they didn't have Poppy, that means they're vulnerable to Blighted Ravine. Owl Cat less so, but that's fine. And yeah, this deck is, so far, it seems able to deal with wide boards, even kind of chunky wide boards that have Spell Shield or 3 health, just by, you know, runner, AoE, AoE. Like, this clears the board right now, in either order that I play it. And the opponent won't have a way to deal with that, really. Okay, that's actually a pretty good time to draw a Poison Puff Cap, because I wanted to play Blighted Ravine. If I pass, they pass back, they deal 5, 6, 7, 8 damage. There's no reason to deal with that. Blighted Ravine is going to prevent a development anyway. Okay, this is a Bandle Tree deck. So, that means we might want to be... They probably don't play something this turn. I think we have... I think I misjudged... Oh, I didn't misjudge when my attack turn was. So do we use Withering Wail right now? I meant to say I use Catalyst of Aeons. You can't read my mind. Okay, so we might Withering Wail. That would clear the board. It would use mana more efficiently. I think here I'm about the efficient mana usage because I'm just trying to kind of get in under... getting under this Bandle Tree win condition. Or loss condition for me, rather. I'm not going to be playing Field of Rush this game, I think. And yeah, these Poison Puff Caps really don't matter.
I don't carry change.
Okay.
My blade grows restless.
There's 8. So hopefully they can't get up to 9 either this turn or the next turn. Yeah, if they can naturally play a Bandle Tree card, then plus play the generated one, I'm in trouble.
Are you ready? Let's take it for a spin. Roll 'em over.
Okay. That's fine, I still have the Atrocity.
Oh, dizzy.
Okay, let's try to see if we can make them go below 6 mana. I don't think they have a good reason to. I don't think we can win in spite of... What am I trying to say? I don't think we can win without Atrocity this turn. We might as well just play out a unit.
If they're out there, I'll spot them.
Okay. Do you have it? Do you have it? You already used one Minimorph. Alright, I didn't have it. Very nice. So, I think Bandle Tree does tend to play 2 or 3 Minimorphs. But they only had the one. We were in luck. And we just got there. Very nice. But if we can get to a solid Plat 2 today, I'll be really happy. Okay, so Jinx, Freljord, PNZ. Poro deck, I think. So this deck has a bad matchup against Poros. Ruination could be really nice. We're playing only 1 copy. So I think I'd like to keep it. Then I'm also okay keeping Vile Feast because sometimes they preemptively play a Poro when they can't buff it yet. And I'll keep Trundle just because it's... I'm not going to keep Field of Rush. I'll keep Trundle just because it's nice to get it going pre-Field of Rush. But I anticipate this probably not being a feel the rush kind of game. This might be more of a game where I either just get overrun by Poros or I'm able to deal with them and the opponent quits. Okay, Zanai Urchin discards Get Excited. I don't know if Poro decks tend to play Get Excited. But it could still be a Poro deck and they just have more of like a discard flavor because of Jinx. I haven't talked about Jinx yet because I'm a little bit less worried about her. I potentially have Avalanche plus...
Follow along, little ones.
Okay, so next turn, if they develop a Poro, I can Avalanche. I think here I just pass again. I might also see if I can Catalyst of Eons. It depends what they do. Okay. Let's just Catalyst. We're getting closer to our Ruination turn. They're taking quite a while to buff their board. Okay, they still don't play out the Poros, so I think that they're really intent on waiting for Iceborne Legacy. So here we could either Trundle or pass. I think I'd rather pass. I think this is going to be a game that I win by starving the opponent out. I also have Whale if I need it, which means that just an attack with this board will actually heal me net 1, because I take 2 damage, heal 3. I don't really care about burning more mana right now. And actually on this coming turn I will have Ruination mana. The problem is, since Iceborne Legacy is burst, they can play out their hand and... Okay, we'll Withering Wail this. Right? Anyway, they can play out their hand, force me to activate Ruination, and then just not cast Iceborne Legacy until later, and have 5 mana to do more productive things. So I'm gonna see if they go below 5. If they do, I'm gonna very happily play this Avalanche. Okay. That's all fine. Okay, so we want to be... I said this wasn't a Field of Rush game, but it actually might be. So if next turn we play... we'll assume next turn we have 8 plus 3 equals 11 mana. If we play Avalanche, we'll still bank 2 and go into turn 9 with 11 mana again. So, sorry, I said Avalanche, I meant Ruination. So if we Ruination next turn, that locks us out of Field of Rush. Another option here is I can just play Trundle, swing in, and try to Avalanche on offense. Let's see if we can get them to go... Well, we would need to get them to go below 3 here to safely cast an Avalanche. Okay, so if they play out these 3 Poros, I think we're going to Ruination.
I think we have something on that case.
And if we're just forgetting about Field of Rush that turn, that means we can also Vile Feast here, if we need to. We do have a Vile Feast to somewhat play around at Poros next. So far, they're still not threatening that much damage. Especially with this Vile Feast. It would be pretty great for me if they don't go off with Iceborne Legacy this turn.
I can barely keep up.
So I'm gonna block here. How bad is it if I can't win next turn? It might be kind of bad. If I don't block, I go down that low. They could have double get excited, but that would be fine. I think this is... yeah, that would be fine because I can just respond with Vile Feast. So I think here we Avalanche. And we can actually cast a second Avalanche as well if they go Blighted Ravine. Or sorry, I meant if they go Iceborne Legacy. So we're in a good spot here. We can Avalanche, Avalanche. Next turn Ice Pillar, and then Feel the Rush. So I think we've managed to just kind of weave together the right sequence of turns here. They're now unable to kill Trundle even at 2 health, which is really important. He's going to be leveled. And now they're really banking on the leftover Poros. That's totally fine. We're going to have Overwhelm. This gets healed back up. Now we have to remember to Ice Pillar first. We drew a Trundle, which is not ideal, but it's okay. It just makes our second Feel the Rush worse. But we're going to be swinging in with 3 Overwhelm units. They're looking for Flash Freeze here, I guess. Okay, nice. He beat Iceborne Poros. I feel good about that. So I have to tell you guys, if you've been watching my videos the last few days, I think sometimes I've kind of been overstating the impact of Iceborne Legacy Poros. It is a tier 1 or 2 deck, currently looking like tier 2, but I kind of got caught up in the Reddit hullabaloo of it being like the best deck and over-centralizing. I haven't really strongly thought yet about how I feel about elusives from a game design perspective. I think some people oversimplify that. Okay, so Irelia Misfortune. This deck is aiming to turbo level Misfortune by playing Blades on the defensive turn. So I think we'd like to keep the box to answer Misfortune. We can guaranteed get it to work. Other than that, I think just having heal that doesn't also develop the board is fine here, if they are going to be, getting in damage with blades, which are essentially ephemeral anyway. So I'll keep double ramp. Trundle is nice here. Okay, and we're playing for Feel the Rush. Very good. The hand is coming together. I might be kind of overly tailoring my mulligan to what I perceive this deck strategy to be. To what I perceive this deck strategy to be. But so far we're looking like we're in a good spot.
Fortune favors the
Box. So they could have a Twin Disciplines here, which would be a pretty good answer. Okay, they don't have it. Very nice.
I'll be quick.
I'll just take this one. I don't need to overreact with the Vile Feast. Now I'm going to open pass here because the opponent has more of an onus than I do to develop.
And a 1, 2, 3.
Okay, that's not that worrying. So here pretty much my only plays are to Vile Feast and to Catalyst of Aeons. I'd rather just Catalyst while I can. That means I'm going into next turn with 6 standard mana plus 1 spell mana, meaning I can Catalyst plus Vile Feast if I need to. I can also Trundle plus Vile Feast.
Looking for trouble? It found you.
Okay, so they play the Misfortune. I could plan to Ruination next turn, in which case I don't want to be playing Trundle. So I think here I'm actually going to just pass, let the opponent swing, second Catalyst, and then next turn drop Ruination.
Love ya.
We could even telegraph another play first, I think. We'll see how... Okay, so I'll be at 7 plus 2, so I'll have exactly 9. So that means if I'm gonna Ruination, I'm just gonna have to do it, but I might still open pass, because right now they're not threatening lethal on their open swing. So there, I'm at 10. Okay, I miscalculated. I also have actually Vengeance for Misfortune. That's an option. I think if that's the case... Oh, you have to play Ice Pillar. I thought you just had to play any 8-cost unit. Okay. So because we have the Vengeance, I think that makes us more able to play Trundle here. We would like to level Trundle, but I think it's not essential. We really just can't let this Misfortune go crazy. And we don't want to let them get too many attackers because of Irelia. So the play here is pass. I think I still like passing at first, though. And then it's fine that they go right back.
What shall we play for your dance?
Play us an anthem of Navori, or the verses you remember.
Okay, so let's Ruination. Then we can Avaros and Sentry. If we need to. If we don't need to. Oh, deny. Okay. It's not GG yet.
Open wide, sugar.
Let's Vile Feast, I think. What's our plan next turn? So if we Vile Feast, we won't be able to feel the rush. They've just denied my Ruination, so they're kind of unlikely to have another. Flawless Duet kills me, though. And next turn, if I commit to Ruination... Or sorry, Flawless Duet gets 1 off killing me. So if next turn they have a way to play a Blade, I'm in trouble. And Misfortune's ability will go in the stack. So I think here we have to just try to stabilize without Feel the Rush, unfortunately. The opponent was pretty smart to just take that immediate pass back. Yeah. Yeah, so Flawless here is going to do 3 if I don't block. Oh, extra because... Why are they 2 attack? Jagged Taskmaster. Oh, okay, I wasn't thinking about that one. So let's block here.
Love ya.
Yeah, we're definitely in trouble. We're going to open by playing either Trundle or Sentry. I think I'd rather play Trundle. By the way, drawing two Tryndamere was pretty bad.
Nice to meet you.
Unfortunately, we can't Vengeance in response to a Blade swing to stop the Misfortune level. But we can Vengeance in response to that. Do they have Deny? Alright. Well, they had what they needed. They had double Vengeance, which is really strong against this deck. That's a good game. Actually, I lost even if they didn't have that Deny, because they were still going to get in for 6 damage. Well played.
We dance to the drums of war.
Well, 6 damage plus 2 from Irelia. Yeah, I was pretty dead. Alright. That's an interesting deck. How do I feel about that? So, given that the deck plays multiple denies, I think that the worst things to get denied, for me at least, are Ruination and Feel the Rush, and the best things to get denied are that could actually see a deny would be something more like an Avalanche. So I think in that matchup, I'd prefer to keep Avalanche. The box was also nice. I would continue to keep that. So here we're going up against the mirror. This will be interesting. Establishing our win con and ramping to it will be really important here. This might be a matchup where I actually keep Feel the Rush. Atrocity is an option, but it loses to Vengeance. So let's actually keep Catalyst plus Field of Rush. This is a little bit ambitious, but I'm not worried about getting run over in the early game. We're going to be doing a lot of passing here, I think. Avalanche won't do much in this deck.
These old eyes still see far and clear.
Okay, so that means that they can't Catalyst
To the homestead.
this turn. And I'm actually healing with Catalyst, which is nice. Not finding a Trundle is a bit of a downside here. Ledros is also a nice way to win the control mirror. And my deck only plays one copy, so it's possible theirs does too, and they won't have it. Okay, they have their own Catalyst, very nice. They don't heal with it though. Does it make any sense to use Vile Feast to get in for one? I think I want to actually delay their draw. We'll just pass here. I know we're burning a lot more mana than them, which seems like a big loss, but none of our plays there really did anything. So it's not like we were getting anything done by not burning that mana. So if I see a Trundle here, I'm in a little bit of trouble. Okay.
Trolls are going to war.
That's unfortunate. I do actually have the mana to kill it if he decides to attack with it this turn. So let's go for that. Avalanche and Vile Feast plus 3 damage. Yeah, I think that's a smart play. Pass. Actually, I should have used Catalyst there. That was a misplay. I should have used Catalyst so I could Ledros next turn.
It's always cold in the Freljord. You're in my kingdom now.
Yeah, so that was probably the play that decided the game there. That was really too greedy on my part. You still have to think about using Field of Rush next turn, despite everything we've seen here. So if we will be feeling the rush, probably. What else should happen? What should happen this turn? What can I do for 8 mana that's impactful? I could Trundle here into... If they Vengeance it, that's not a huge deal. And then I could Ice Pillar Field of Rush next turn.
Smashing. One smack'll do.
Do I accept this no block? I think at that point we're too worried about Atrocity. Let's block. This card isn't doing much. We could have considered keeping up double Avalanche mana. But at this point we can't Catalyst anymore. Is there any reason to single Avalanche? It weakens the Ice Pillar.
Come on, come on.
Let's pass. They might want to do something this turn. Okay. So here we know how we're starting. Ice Pillar. Trundle is leveled. So although we had an unnecessarily weak mid game, we still are getting our... We're going into our Field of Rush turn with a leveled Trundle. So that's nice. Hopefully we summon the Tryndamere from our deck. Okay, unfortunate, we missed it. So, Trundle beholds 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 plus cost cards. So Trundle will be a 14-10. We can push in for 8. We also have the potential to grab Trundle with our Tryndamere and heal off the damage, but I think that's too dangerous. I think I'd rather do that with my... grab it with Tryndamere, because if Tryndamere dies, he flips. Okay, so they play a naked Tryndamere.
I'll knock 'em dead.
So I think here... oh, that can't just grab something. Okay. We're showing exact lethal, but they want to block with that Tryndamere anyway. I think instead we should do this. Get them low. Don't allow the Tryndamere to get a free flip.
Get ready for a beatdown.
And we're still not swinging in. Okay. So they had freeze anyway. Here we do have the potential of playing Pillar into Ledros.
I'll knock 'em dead.
Okay, so we want to block their backswing here.
This is gonna be fun. That the best you got?
So if we... So we can actually Vengeance plus Flash Freeze here. If they Atrocity this. Very nice. So they've committed to killing that now. There's not much they can do at this point to save it. Well, actually, they could... oh, even if they Flash Freeze this, it's still dying to Atrocity, not to combat. So this is looking to me like just a win on the basis of tempo. Because we have 3 champions, they have 1. They can kill one of them, but it will come back in its revived form. Its leveled up form. So as I mentioned, we weren't able to play the Ice Pillar just because the opponent decided to take a very pressing action first. I think they open attacked. What could they have? They could have more Flash Freezes. We've already seen one. That doesn't really matter because everything is Overwhelm. They could have another Atrocity, but that wouldn't be enough to kill me, and they could have Fury of the North Atrocity, but that would be one off, plus we could heal in response. Is there any reason... I don't think I want to take an action here and give them an action just because they could play their own Field of Rush, which is pretty strong on defense. Okay, so I think they might have had Field of Rush there. I noticed that they had 12 mana there. I didn't spot that until right now, so they might have been hoping I would develop into it, and then they could wrestle control of the board back. I might have still had the win there, but it would have been a lot more iffy if I gave the opponent a chance to Field of Rush. Okay, but we're facing Ahri Kennen again. Like I said, I'm usually excited to play this deck because I think it's pretty fun. So Avalanche is strong. Whale is good against unleveled Kennen. Droplet Mourn, so I think I keep a Whale. And I'll keep a Sentry. It's worse in this matchup than it is in some other matchups, just because Oftentimes they won't really interact with it, but I think it's still a good card. So I can Sentry here into Avalanche next turn.
Can see the Devastian border from here.
I've got Trundle Atrocity, so with that I need to look out for Homecoming.
Avarosa's name.
I think I'm going to swing here.
For the homestead.
They're going to value block it. Okay, if they don't, that's fine as well. I'll get some damage in. I was thinking about not swinging. Well, this has quick attack anyway, so. That's fine. I'm okay burning a mana here.
Safeguard our home.
I have 2 potential pings showing. Double Vile Feast or Vile Feast Withering Wail.
Underestimate.
God Willow.
I
Okay.
dare you.
What if we just Vile Feast the Beyblade Twirler? And then if they play Droplet out, do I Avalanche? Maybe. But they didn't, so I don't have to think about it. Okay, double Atrocity. Not so useful here. So I'm looking at double Avalanche here. How many droplets are they at? They're at 3 droplets. I'll let the swing go through. I mean, I'm not going to develop yet. I'd like to see a Kinku Wayfinder here. This does just as much on the board as Spider does, actually. Okay, there's Field of Rush. I'm at 8 cards in hand. Yeah, that's fine. Pass.
I live
Warned.
for those who do not.
Pass. I have Whale. If they pre-develop, I'll play Avalanche. So we're getting close to our Field of Rush turn here. We haven't drawn a... How many droplets do they have? So, maybe I'll Withering Wail here. Into... Vile Feast or into a second Whale. I'm hoping I don't have to though, because I'd like to use Avalanche on their Kinku Wayfinder, so maybe I'll just make them do something. They should be pretty happy to pick up this droplet. Oh, okay. That's even better for me. They don't have a recall well. Now let's see that Wayfinder. So unfortunately, they might be equipped to pressure me at exactly the worst turn for me. So next turn, I can spend a 9 mana.
Time for a leap of faith.
Mm-hmm. So this turn I might just double Avalanche. Kennen is leveled. Its Marks of the Storm aren't going to be doing anything. So what I'm trying to do here is basically tell the opponent, okay, I blinked. Now you can go off. Yep. And then just do more. So they've lost the ability to pressure me here without Ahri. And if they have Ahri, I have Vengeance. Plus Ahri is not close to leveling.
Now you will see my final move. I am lightning.
Kennen does not scare me.
Wind.
I don't really have a board anyway. Like, I could theoretically next turn play, Trundle, but I don't think I will be. So remember, only
Nature does not mourn. I
wait
will.
until combat to cast a fast spell. I'm out of avalanches anyway. Don't blink if I don't need to. Okay. Pass. I have multiple fast reactive options on the defense. It'll be pretty hard to play the Spear Pillar, or to play the Ice Pillar. Okay. Do I have an Atrocity in hand? I do. I have multiple Atrocities. So that's a potential win condition, since I'm going to be getting in for a lot of damage with Trundle unless it gets stunned. They are going to want to stun it, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I'm going to mill a card. That's fine. I think.
I'll take care of this.
Do you have Palm? You do? Okay.
Protect each other.
So if they develop,
Run.
I Ice Pillar.
Ahri, what do you fear?
A dull companion? More revealing questions?
So here I'd like to get them to pre-buff their Ahri. In which case I'll respond with Flash Freeze.
Break the silence.
You can fight. Show me.
You got a problem?
So with this, I am not dead yet. I have fast speed heal to beat a lightning rush. I need to keep only 2 mana up to do that. They might double stun my Trundle. So if I Withering Wail, so if they buff Ahri here, then they're not buffing Droplet. I prefer Flash Freeze plus Vile Feast over Vengeance here. This is just more options. I believe that just Absolver is not enough to kill me this turn. Just Absolver's return. It would put me at 2, which is fine. Because I still have fast speed heal from Vile Feast. It's fine. Okay. Freeze. And I still have Vile Feast on the Dancing Droplet. Or rather on the Warned, perhaps. I'm not going to use it because I don't have to. So I'm going to be playing this Ice Pillar so that I don't have to worry about Homecoming, since I can still get in for 10 plus Overwhelm and have Atrocity on the backswing.
You're in troll lands now.
So Trundle beholds,
Troll to rule 'em all.
I think it's 4 or 5 8 plus cost cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, so he's at 15. Yeah, I'm still not afraid of that.
The world's heart beats with mine.
To battle.
Okay, so oh, that can't grab her. I want to kill Kennen. Try to kill Kennen with Tryndamere. So doing this doesn't make any sense.
One smack'll do.
Don't squander life's gifts.
Okay, can they find a stun? If they stun, I have a few options. I could Battle Fury on the Tryndamere. I could let it through. They use Homecoming. So they could have another Homecoming. Let's let this through, I think. Pretty sure I want to get them to tap below second Homecoming or deny, so I can Atrocity.
Done.
So let's play this Trundle out.
These are troll lands.
Maybe I should have considered that more. So we want to have double Vengeance next turn as well. Or Vengeance Atrocity. Let's do this.
Welcome to the tipsy hour.
They're now free to go below Homecoming.
I will.
I also have Vile Feast, which is nice. I'm fine to see them, I'm happy to see them spending mana. So they want to create a pretty wide board here that can kill me with or without Ahri.
Ahri, what do you fear?
A dull companion? More revealing questions?
So here we could potentially interrupt her with Vile Feast. That could be answered by the Absolver. I think we would rather just Vengeance her.
I will mourn you.
Run if you can.
Okay, so how many things can we fit into one turn? We have 13 mana. We could Vengeance, Catalyst, Vile Feast. So if we Vile Feast, we're taking 6. We're alive at 1. Right?
Come on.
Now doing this kind of prevents me from using Atrocity this turn, but I don't think that's very important. So let's use another Vile Feast. Let's get them below Homecoming or Deny. I think that's GG. Oh, we lose to... Kennen's not on the board, so they don't have Lightning Rush. I think here we can safely Atrocity. You win, right? Let's see if I'm right. Let's see how well I know this deck. Nice! Alright. So, you can see in that last turn, again, we had collected a lot of potential ways to deal with Ahri. We didn't even show either of our 2 Vengeances, and we didn't show our Catalyst of Aeons. We were using our life total as a resource and recognizing that the opponent doesn't have any damage on defense except for Kennen's spell, and there was no Kennen in play. Because of Kennen's spell, we were keeping enough healing in hand to go above that critical breakpoint of 2 Nexus health. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching that video about Feel the Rush Control, Shadow Isles, Freljord. Again, this deck comes courtesy of Salty Simon, who recently won a qualifier event with it. He got first place. I think he was playing a lineup full of like 3 different control decks. So that's always great to see because people talk about Legends of Runeterra not being a game where control can really flourish, but at least in tournament lineups, it's well positioned right now. So what I'd like to do is take the opportunity to look through the deck list, talk about any cards that you might want to change. A lot of those cards that you might want to change might be meta dependent, and I'll just discuss that as we go. So first, we have Avarosan Sentry. I would keep 3 of this. It's nice to have something to contest the board. Really your only options for that in the early game are Avarosan Sentry, your Vile Feast Spiderlings, and Kindly Tavern Keeper. So definitely keep these. Vile Feast could move up or down depending on the current meta. I really like it right now because it's strong into Ahri Kennen, and I think it's also strong into burn spiders, into spider aggro. So I like having 3 copies of Vile Feast. Another thing with this deck is you're basically telling the opponent, I have everything, good luck, and having 2 mana options is really, really valuable for that. In one game today, where I managed to beat Ahri Kennen, I had 13 mana available, but I was just playing it really slow. I think I played Vile Feast, which got nopified. I played Vile Feast, which got nopified, and I still had mana left over to play Atrocity for lethal. So that was really cool. Flash Freeze is interesting in this deck. This is really strong against some other control decks who might be trying to counter Atrocity you. And there are a good number of those in the meta right now, so I think it's well positioned. This is also really strong against Ahri Kennen to flash freeze that Ahri when she's going in for lethal, especially because they often have to pre-commit their Absolver or their Twin Disciplines. So if you can force them to make a full swing and then spend a card, you can flash freeze it. You may need some other cards as well, especially if they Absolver, because they can use the second half of Absolver on their Ahri, and then you'll need a second answer, but that's totally fine. And again, having cheap cards is important to this deck's reactive options, and this one costs only 3. Let's move right along here. Kindly Tavern Keeper, another obvious pick. Don't go below 3. Avalanche is great at 3 right now, as is Blighted Ravine, but keep in mind that these things do 2 separate things. Avalanche works immediately, whereas Blighted Ravine has a delay. So don't keep Blighted Ravine thinking you'll be able to drop it and prevent your opponent's attack. No, they'll still be able to get a full swing against you. The box is good in this meta, as I've seen in some other decks I've played recently. It's really strong into Ahri Kennen. I also learned it's pretty strong into Deep when they're playing multiple Scarabs. And it's strong against spiders. It just has, and it can even work against wide boards of 3/3 Poros, especially if they've already cast their Iceborne Legacy and now they're tapped out for the turn. Catalyst of Aeons, yeah, you want this ramp. I even considered playing more ramp. This is one card you could consider playing. I mentioned it in the intro, but again, Faces of the Old Ones is a consideration. You don't really think of it as a unit, and think of it as just a temporary ramp. This is going to help you get to Trundle more quickly. It's going to help you get to, if you play in the mid game, you might get to Feel the Rush early, but really this is just going to enable your other ramp cards and your other reactive options. So consider Faces of the Old Ones. Trundle is great. You want to be dropping Trundle proactively on turn 5, so depending on the matchup, I sometimes do keep this in the mulligan. It can test the board well, being a 6 health regeneration unit, and yeah, leveling it ahead of Feel the Rush makes Feel the Rush so much more threatening, especially if you don't also have an atrocity to pair with it. Withering Wail is great. Reactive options are everything in this deck. I would keep this at Wail, at 3 Wail. I probably wouldn't be playing Withering Mist with this deck. Vengeance at 3. This is a card you could probably adjust. You could go down to 2 Vengeance potentially. 6 mana is starting to get pretty expensive, and I found myself having Vengeances but favoring some of my other reactive options above them. You could lower the ratios on this down to 2 perhaps. It is a little bit clunky, but it's way better than it used to be, and I think 3 copies is totally defensible. Atrocity at 2 is nice. You can, with 2 of them, you can diversify your win conditions, and having 2 copies really improves the chances that you'll draw on any given game. Tryndamere at 2, I was wary of this at first. I thought, oh, well, maybe I should have 3 Tryndamere. What if I want to be really greedy and play out like multiple copies of Feel the Rush? But what I've learned is while you definitely want to play at least 2, probably 3 copies of Feel the Rush, the 3rd copy almost never gets used, especially since you're going to be wanting to pre-play your Trundle anyway. So don't really worry about having enough Tryndameres. The only downside of playing less than 3 in my experience is sometimes it will summon the one from your hand, but once you get into the late game, you're less worried about like card advantage and wanting to get like a +1 with Feel the Rush, and you're more worried about just wanting to close the game. So actually playing more copies will increase the chance that you'll try it early, which is not what you want to see. Commander Ledros at 1 was fine. I'm not sure if I closed out any games with Ledros, but it is just a singleton copy. I like, again, having a diversified win condition, and sometimes if you're not able to deal any early damage, which is very common, then having Ledros just to, get in for 10 damage swings with its effect is really important. So I would keep this at 1. You could alter it. I don't know if I would go down to 0. I don't know. That's for you to decide. Commander Ledros is a little bit more of a squishy pick there. Ruination, 1 copy is good, 2 copies is good. Either way, it just depends on your meta. Against decks that really want to pre-commit, more Ruinations can help. Ruination is also a good answer to Poros, so if you've got a lot of Poros in your meta, I recommend playing another copy of Ruination, and you also want to be playing this to beat other control decks. And then Feel the Rush at 3 copies, definitely keep that. So total, guys, I would say your flex spots here are just mainly altering your ratios of removal. So going up or down on Flash Freeze, potentially Vile Feast, the box, and Vengeance, I think. And then also you could alter some ratios for the top end. I would not really play a 3rd Tryndamere, but you could play a copy of Sejuani as well to increase your chances of getting 2 Overwhelm champs if you're not able to pre-play your Trundle. And then you could go up or down on the Ruination. Other cards that you could consider in this deck, let's see. So you could play Withering Mist, although just taking an action seems kind of slow. You could play Piercing Darkness, Grasp. All of those options are pretty flexible. I don't think this is really a deck where you want to be using Go Hard. You don't really need the additional pings after 3 copies of Withering Wail and Vile Feast. So I would say, yeah, just altering your amount of removals, playing Sejuani, and potentially playing Faces of the Old Ones for 2 mana just to ramp even more quickly. I had a really good day with this deck. I played a lot of matches, and I think I netted like 5 wins. But the main thing that I would be looking for that I just couldn't find sometimes was extra ramp. So either Faces of the Old Ones Or let's see if there are any other good options in these regions. Voices of the Old Ones just got buffed, but it's so expensive that I think it's still not worth playing. Yeah, so either Weirding Stones or Faces of the Old Ones is something I would consider playing if you find that you just need to win with Feel the Rush and you're not getting there quickly enough. So I think that's the deck, guys. Thanks again so much for watching today. I'm going to be closing out the video now. If you'd like to see any of my other videos, just click on them below. I'm trying to release a video every day, so and I'm drawing those deck lists from things like tournament reports, things that are highly upvoted on Reddit, things that you guys request. So if there's something that you'd like to see, just leave a comment and I'd be happy to oblige. Anyway, that's all for now. Leave a like and a subscription if you can, and I will see you next time.